some leading Democrats in this country seem to have what you might call a love-hate relationship with the left. Sure, progressives seem to have more influence this year than they have in years past, especially when it comes to the party's rhetoric. But it doesn't look like the friction is going to go away anytime soon. For example, President Obama has escalated his war of words with Elizabeth Warren and her allies in the Senate and Congress. He's kind of reignited an old burning resentment against the left that he's let fade underground over the last few years. Now, Hillary Clinton has adopted more progressive rhetoric, but her unwillingness to get pinned down toward specific progressive policies has left activists frustrated. Clearly, this time around, the left matters. Why, then, is it difficult for progressives to get a seat at the table in the Democratic Party? You know, Obama seems to have targeted Senator Warren specifically on the trade deal, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. But when he's talked about it a couple weeks ago, and he talked about his critics, he said every single one of the critics who send out emails to their fundraising base saying they're voting against the secret deal could walk over and see the text of the agreement. He wasn't just targeting Elizabeth Warren with that. He was targeting everyone in the Senate and House who criticizes this deal, because only members of the Senate or House are allowed to see it. So he was also targeting Bernie Sanders, Sherrod Brown, Keith Ellison, Alan Grayson, Raul Grijalva, just to name a few. Now, the president hasn't sounded this PO'd since 2010, when he dismissed progressives who criticized his compromises with the Republicans. Some would call them caves. At that point, he said, he said, well, they, quote, like to have the satisfaction of having a purist position and no victories for the American people, end quote. Now, some would argue that those purist positions would have been much more popular with the American people, and that those so-called victories, those compromise agreements, only led to ever-escalating demands on the part of the Republicans and to future government shutdowns. Now, the administration's rancor towards the activist left seemed to disappear, or at least go underground for a while. The president attacked left, partly in response to the Occupy movement and partially in anticipation of the 2012 election. His leftist, quote-unquote, rhetoric boosted his poll numbers significantly, and I think it's pretty clear it helped him get reelected, because the policies that he was advocating, job creation and so on, are in fact popular with the public. Now, he's taken a somewhat more proactive attitude towards liberal or progressive ideas in recent years. He's pushed to increase the minimum wage for federal workers and so on. But this doesn't seem to have translated into new appreciation for the left, because it certainly didn't look that way in the fight over the trade deal, which of course continues. Now, Hillary Clinton's 2008 campaign, many people that feel that Obama, at least symbolically, postured himself to her left. And of course, she did not prevail in that campaign. This time around, she is being far more progressive in her rhetoric, but it is not clear yet that that is translating into specific policy positions. She has, however, come out strongly for marriage equality. She has publicly evolved on this issue, as President Obama put it. But of course, there again, the left was there first. We'll quote Bernie Sanders, who said, "I'm not evolving when it comes to gay rights. I was there." Now, Wall Street is comfortable with certain social issues like gay marriage, because that does not affect them financially. But some of the very concrete economic proposals that symbolize a progressivism or the left in this country do make Wall Street uncomfortable. And on that, it would appear that neither President Obama nor Hillary Clinton are willing to stake out positions of leadership which challenge the Wall Street base. Hence the nickname Wall Street wing of the party. Now, it is not too late, especially for Hillary Clinton, to redefine herself that way, but there are many people who feel skeptical that she will do so now. Well, let's just close by exploring some of the many ways in which the left was right all along, and holding popular positions. Welfare reform, when Bill Clinton signed that law in the 1990s, it was the left who said it wouldn't work. We now have studies showing that it didn't work. Wall Street deregulation, when top Democrats were pushing for it, it was the left who said it will lead to a financial crisis. Gay marriage, the left, as Bernie Sanders says, was there all along. Mass incarceration, it's great to see Hillary Clinton embracing that as an issue, but when Bill Clinton signed the Violent Crimes Act in the 90s, it was the left who said that it would not address violent crime. Now, the left is right. The left is popular. Now, let's be clear. People don't describe themselves as liberals or leftists in the polls, but on issue after issue after issue, the American people come down on the left side of the ledger where it matters in policy. Will that translate into real leadership in a party or in our electoral politics? That remains to be seen, but we will be watching. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.